What if I told you that a man who once couldn't afford a single plate of food ended up owning a chain of restaurants that serves thousands of plates every single day? No rich family, no business degree, no connections, just a small cart, a burning fire, and a hunger that went far beyond food. This is the story of Daniel Hayes, the street food seller who built a restaurant empire from nothing. Stay with me, because this story will change the way you think about success. Daniel Hayes was born in a small, overcrowded neighborhood on the edge of the city. His father worked at a factory. His mother cleaned houses. Together, they barely made enough to keep the family alive. At the age of 12, Daniel Hayes started skipping school, not because he wanted to, but because he had to. Every morning, while other kids were opening their textbooks, Daniel Hayes was carrying heavy bags of rice and vegetables to the local market for a few dollars a day. By the time he was 16, his father lost his job. The family had almost nothing left. That's when Daniel Hayes made a decision that would change everything. He took the only thing his family had, a small, broken-down cart and a recipe his grandmother taught him, and he pushed it to the busiest street corner in the neighborhood. He started selling one dish: simple rice, dal, and a fried egg. Price: just $5. People laughed. Some ignored him. Others felt sorry for him. But Daniel Hayes didn't need their pity. He needed their hunger. The first few weeks were brutal. Some days he sold only 10 plates. Some days, even less. He woke up at 4 in the morning to buy fresh ingredients. He cooked in the heat, in the rain, on cold winter nights. His hands cracked. His back ached. But he never stopped. One rainy evening, a local shopkeeper walked past his cart and stopped. He looked at the food. He looked at Daniel Hayes and he said, "Boy, your food smells better than any restaurant in this city." That one sentence lit something inside Daniel Hayes that never went out. He started experimenting. He added new spices. He learned how to make the perfect curry. He watched how big restaurants cooked, and then he did the same thing, but better and cheaper. Word started to spread. People came back. Then they brought their friends. Then their families. Within 1 year, Daniel Hayes' small cart had a line of 50 people every day. He was still poor. But for the first time in his life, he had something. One afternoon, a well-dressed businessman stopped at Daniel Hayes' cart. He ate one plate, then another, then a third. He looked at Daniel Hayes and said, "How much do you make in a day?" Daniel Hayes told him. The businessman was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "You should have a restaurant." Daniel Hayes laughed. He said, "I don't have money for rent, furniture, or staff. I can barely afford tomorrow's ingredients." The businessman smiled and handed him a card. He said, "Come to my office. I want to talk." That businessman had seen something in Daniel Hayes that even Daniel Hayes hadn't fully seen in himself: raw talent, real discipline, and a product people loved. A week later, they made a deal. The businessman would give Daniel Hayes a small loan, enough to rent a single room in the market area. Just 4 tables and a kitchen. In return, Daniel Hayes would work 18 hours a day and pay back every single cent. Daniel Hayes agreed without hesitation. The restaurant opened on a Tuesday. By Friday, every table was full, twice over. People sat outside on the street, waiting, because they didn't want to leave without eating Daniel Hayes' food. Within 6 months, he paid back the loan completely. Within 1 year, he opened a second location. He hired staff, mostly young people from his own neighborhood, people who were where he used to be. He didn't just give them jobs. He trained them. He taught them everything he knew. Because Daniel Hayes never forgot where he came from. By his late 20s, Daniel Hayes owned 5 restaurants across the city. He was featured in a local newspaper. The headline read, "From a broken cart to a growing empire, the unlikely rise of Daniel Hayes." His mother, the same woman who used to clean other people's houses, now sat in her own home, in a chair that Daniel Hayes bought for her, reading that newspaper, with tears in her eyes. Today, Daniel Hayes' restaurant chain has over 30 locations. He employs more than 500 people. His brand is recognized across the country. He was invited to speak at a national business conference, the same kind of event where successful, educated business people usually stand. When he walked on stage, he didn't bring a slideshow or a prepared speech. He just said, "I was a boy who pushed a broken cart in the rain. I had no education, no money, and no plan. But I had one thing. I refused to give up. And I learned one truth. The world will always need people who feed others. Find what you do better than anyone else. Then serve it, with everything you have." The room gave him a standing ovation. Daniel Hayes' story isn't just about food. It's about a boy who had every reason to fail, and chose to rise anyway. It's about showing up at 4 in the morning when no one is watching. It's about one person believing in you, at the right moment. It's about never forgetting where you came from, even after you've gone far. The street food seller became an empire builder. Not because the world gave him a chance, but because he refused to wait for one. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today.